public accountant, a law graduate, a member of the Women's Entrepreneurship Committee of the Niti Ayog, one of the top 60 women transforming India as recognized by the Indian government, and the founder of 2 startups. Let's hear more about this incredible journey from the lady herself. Namita Shah, a pleasure having you here today.
Thank you for such a warm introduction, Priya.
Great. So we'll start with your entire journey from the time from your formative years till now. And my first question to you is, tell me something about your formative years, your school, and why you chose to do CA.
That's actually a very, very interesting journey of how CA came about in my life. So, believe it or not, I actually come from a family of doctors. Both my parents are doctors, and they, in fact, have their own setup as well. And in fact, because of that, I always knew that medicine is not meant for me. So, contrary to the popular opinion that, oh, doctors, children try to pursue medicine, I think, since I was probably 10 or 12 years old, that medicine is something that's not meant for me. And I actually loved physics and maths much more than I ever liked biology. But the opportunities to pursue something, I wanted to specifically get into research in physics and maths, but the opportunities at that time to pursue something without having to leave the country were very, very limited. So I knew that, doing something in science was probably not my calling. And then I turned to commerce. And over there, I loved numbers and I saw chartered accountancy. So that's decided that I'll actually be a chartered accountant. And believe it or not, at the age of 12, where I probably didn't even know what CAs mean, I knew that I would pursue chartered accountancy. So I think when I was in seventh or eighth, the decision was already made by me for myself, very contrary to what my family or my teachers or my friends expected of me. But I knew that's what's meant for me. And I think since then, everything that I've done is because of this conviction that I've had towards building something which probably isn't the norm. And that's something that led me to CA, and that's something that led me to Preserve 360 as well, which I'll talk about a little later. But that's how chartered accountancy came about. And I still remember in 10th, actually, 10th was the first year that I did academically very well. So my professors actually, sat me down, and I still remember my physics professor telling me that, you know what, chartered accountants only book chartered planes for those who take science. So do not take commerce. And I just couldn't believe my ears that even now people think, I mean, back then people still thought that, if you do well academically, you have to take science, or there's no scope in commerce or something like that. And I still took it on me to ensure that nobody else has to hear this when I heard it. So after I completed chartered accountancy and I got a good job, etc., I went back to him and I told him that, you know what, that isn't the case. Chartered accountants don't book chartered planes for those who take science. In fact, they are as revolutionary as somebody who takes another stream. And I think that also motivated me a lot to try and continue doing better. And these are some of the instances that have actually shaped up to me taking CA. And after that, law came about because of the kind of work that I was doing. And chartered accountancy and law, I believe, like finance and taxation and law, are fundamentals in any sector, and it's agnostic even globally, the concepts I mean. So that's how law came about to me. So I did not plan to do law right initially. I just planned to do chartered accountancy, but I didn't know what next. But while I was doing articleship and after qualification, I realized that there's a huge scope in pursuing law as well. And this knowledge is something that is always going to be necessary and always going to be valid. So that's how I pursued law. And I wanted some sort of international exposure as well. So that's when I was looking at courses, and doing an MBA or something more formal or longer was not possible at that stage. So that's why I saw the entire opportunity of pursuing CPA, which is valid in a lot of countries across the globe. And you could study from here, and you just had to go to the US to give the exams. So that's what I did. I studied from here, and while doing law, I did CPA as well. So that's how the entire academic journey was.
Amazing. So it's nice to see that you shattered preconceived notions that are so deeply rooted in our society, and because of which many people don't ultimately pursue whatever passions they have. So you are really an example to our audience to break barriers and go out into doing what your true calling is. Really nice to hear that. So Namita, you began your articleship with a big four and then you moved on to a mid-sized firm. So can you
Right.
tell me how those experiences have been?
Sure. So I started my career with Ernst& Young. I was in the audit department in their infrastructure division mainly. So I was looking at that particular sector, and I realized that whilst EY comes with its own amazing advantages, I also wanted to learn other aspects of chartered accountancy. Like I didn't want to, get so specialized in one field that I don't even experience what other fields of chartered accountancy have to offer. And I do definitely believe that articleship are your learning years. They are not exactly your earning years or building years. They're more to understand what you're actually learning in theory and see how it's applied practically. And that's when I realized that I want to shift from doing such a specific section of audit to something which involves taxation, to something which involves some sort of planning, strategic structuring, all of that. And that's when I realized if I want to experience all of that, then a big four is not the place for me to experience those kind of things. So after a year of experience in that, I moved on to a mid-sized firm that gave me experience across various spectrums. So right from single entry to actually corporate structuring and to looking at transfer pricing, I got a hands-on experience for all of those. So of course there are opportunities and there are downsides of both, but I wanted to ensure that I at least try to work on everything before I complete articleship, and that's why I made the move.
So it's nice to know that you got a very well-rounded exposure, and having that well-rounded exposure early on in your career teaches you one important thing: what you don't want to do, so that later on in life you don't end up wasting what you call your earning years in pursuing something that you don't really like. So yes, really nice to hear about this, and I think this is a cue for our audience to experiment during articleship and then ultimately take an informed decision. And thank you for putting it out that articleship is a learning period, because we often see today on social media, with a lot of these memes and other things of sorts, lots of cribbing about articleship goes on. While it's okay to take it in a jocular sense, one shouldn't take that to one's heart and should
Absolutely.
extract the learnings of articleship as much as they can. So,
Yes, and I think articleship is the perfect bridge between theory that we learn in chartered accountancy and what happens in the real world. So it's like a precursor to what's to come. And it's important to try different things. And there are not only options of CA firms, there's also options of doing a management training program in the last year, which is experiencing the other side of the entire audit or taxation field of CAs. And as far as possible, try and learn as much as you can. And if you've already found that area that, okay, this is what I love, of course, you can always continue in that role. But I definitely feel we need to try various things, because at least for me, one of the driving factors was I didn't want to be one of those CAs who's so specialized in audit that I don't know how to file my own return. And it happens, of course.
it
That
happens,
also means
yes.
specialization requires leaving aside everything else. So I wanted to understand everything else, and that's something which I feel that articleship could be looked at as well.
Amazing. Thanks for putting that across to our audience that articleship should be taken seriously if you want to succeed further in life. Okay. So you pursued regular college and you are a gold medalist, in fact, at the University of Mumbai. How did you take this decision of pursuing regular college versus a correspondence degree? And how did you manage college alongside your CA?
So honestly, however cliche this sounds, I have to say it that the only limits that exist are those in our mind. I did a Big Four experience. I did a very hectic mid-sized firm experience. I did college also, and a little bit I enjoyed college life. Not a lot, of course, because one comes at the cost of the other. But college life is something that, in my mind, we just cannot skip, because that comes only once in our lives, that forms relations and networks that last a lifetime. So skipping college and doing it in a correspondence format was definitely a no-no for me, especially because chartered accountancy also, as you said, is a correspondence course. So we really do require meeting our peers. We require understanding other thought processes and other areas of, that people pursue, other areas of specialization and expertise. So I always knew from day one that I'm not going to do a correspondence graduation course. And college also is structured in a way that you can handle a course like CA with it, because the college and the university also knows that people who are pursuing, let's say, chartered accountancy, architecture, interior designing, etc., all do some sort of a degree as well, because you do need a graduation degree. So they are also designed in a way that they are only in the mornings for very few hours, and you don't really need 100% attendance there. So that's, some of the things that you can leverage and still manage to go to college and to do chartered accountancy. And I do believe that chartered accountancy, the curriculum itself, shapes you in a way that you already know what's happening in college. So you're at an advantage as well in that perspective, that you're working hard for CA, but it's also going to help you make the entire graduation course easier. So that's something that I leveraged upon as well.
Nice to hear that, and really nice to know that you stressed a lot upon networking at an early stage in your life because, uh, believe it or not, I think many of us in that rat race, if you can call it one, of studying and passing exams, we miss out on human relations, which ultimately are the biggest assets for any person.
Yes.
So,
On that thought, I'm just going to give a quick example very quickly.
sure, sure.
Uh, you just said that your network is your net worth, and it cannot be more emphasized on how important that is. And let me just tell you how MBA works. Often CAs are compared to MBAs, but why do organizations
That's a
take people from
perennial
a good
debate.
MBA? Yes. So I just want to, briefly touch upon that. The reason why these large organizations prefer someone from like like a class A MBA school is not only because of that person's intellect, but because of the network that that person makes. So it's like, for example, if I am in an MBA college, let's say if in IIM Ahmedabad, my batchmates tomorrow they will also go in different organizations and they will head those organizations, and I will go to a different organization and head it. So for me as a head of one organization to transact with another organization whose head has been my college friend would smoothen the entire process. So that's the reason why MBA from a good college is that important. It's not that the curriculum taught in a in a probably MBA college which is graded a little lower than, let's say, an IIM is different. It's not that. It's the network that you make, and ultimately that's what's valued. So similarly, college is a great place to network. It's a great place to broaden your horizons and to understand what else is happening in life. And it's not just about books and numbers and exams. Of course, those are important, but so is this.
Just as you said that the networking between leaders of organizations, I think the an organization will place the highest value on you when you generate revenues for them. And
Correct.
revenues can be generated through a good network. And that's why these MBAs are so coveted because of the network that they bring along. So thank you for emphasizing on this. I hope this will push our audience to uh, network little more than they do already, and further on and foster good relations with
Yes,
the people
we
around
do
them.
that.
Okay. So, as you said, you pursued an LLB because you thought that this degree will give you things, give you knowledge that is going to be very useful to you in any industry if you go to any industry. And after that, you founded two startups, that is Legal Tech Asia and Presolve 360. So, can you tell me in detail about what these startups do and how did the idea of these startups come?
Sure. So actually, while I was pursuing chartered accountancy, I told you I had an experience of a larger organization and then a mid-sized firm that mainly specialized in the luxury goods industry. So they provided CA services to mainly the diamond and jewelry industry, where the things that come out are just surface. What happened in my 4 5 years over there was that companies that were at the top, at the helm of the entire industry, in 3 4 years, 5 years, were actually filing for bankruptcy, and these were those kind of organizations that were mainly family run, and they
Mhm.
had built multi-billion-dollar businesses, and those were the people who were now having to sell off their houses, etc., to repay debts. And
Rags to
when we
riches.
when we
Sorry,
try to
riches to
analyze,
rags.
yeah, when we try to analyze what's happening and why is all of this happening and everything, we realize that it all comes down to one term, which is mismanaged disputes. When there is a difference of opinion, how do you take care of it? Because we are either it's either difficult to confront, it's either difficult to communicate, everything just builds up, and it keeps building up till one day the entire business, the entire family, everything just collapses. And then you look at what resolution processes that we have in the country. Of course, the courts are there, but we all know that they are how overburdened. Just to give you some hard hitting stats quickly, is like there are over 4 crore pending cases in Indian courts. 4 crore. And just to clear this backlog, if no new cases filed, it is going to take India over 300 years. So today, if you were in a dispute, what would you do? Like, would you go to a lawyer who would just go to court? And you've heard of the term tariq pe tariq, and the reality is just, it's that much that legal issues have now become legacy issues in our country.
Absolutely.
And whilst that is a huge problem, there's also huge potential to solve that problem. And
Yes.
that's how Resolve 360 came about. That this sector, otherwise, it's so overburdened, it's so paper heavy, it's so procedural, it's so complex. How does a common man actually find a way to resolve those disputes and resolve it more conveniently? It should be more accessible and it should be more affordable. That's when the concept of online dispute resolution came about, and we realized that we want to work in this space. So we are 3 co-founders currently. All of us have had similar experiences, both personally and professionally, in disputes. And we made it our goal to actually build a platform where anybody can come and where disputes can resolve in a more accessible, affordable, and convenient manner. And that is what Resolve 360 is. It's an online dispute resolution platform that facilitates resolution of disputes by alternative mechanisms. So mechanisms like, if you would have heard, arbitration, negotiation, mediation, conciliation, we do all of those absolutely digitally. So there's no need to actually go to the court as the first resort. You come on the platform, register the dispute, and we could resolve it end to end. And you just need a phone or a laptop to access everything. It's done in a very simple language, and it's done very, very quickly. And within a month is usually the time that we take, or you can actually have your dispute fully resolved. And that's what Resolve 360 is all about. That's what I do day and night. I merge law with technology, two things that are otherwise considered to be in the opposite ends of the spectrum. That also means there's so much scope to build a bridge. And that's what we are
Absolutely.
doing. And Legal Tech Asia is something that came out of a passion for writing and a passion for knowing what else is happening in the legal ecosystem. So it is a platform where we talk about different technologies that can be used in the legal field, different startups and the work that they're doing in the legal ecosystem, and how the entire ecosystem is now being revolutionized. So if you see, for example, fintech, 10 years ago, we probably didn't know the
Didn't
term
know.
internet banking. Today, the only way we know how to transact is online. I think we've almost gotten rid of using checks. So that similar thing is now happening in the legal space, and Legal Tech Asia is capturing all of those movements. So that's what I work on.
That sounds pretty interesting because I think most of our audience would have just read the Arbitration and Conciliation Act has one small chapter in
Right.
their syllabus, that too sometimes after a lot of cribbing. But it's really nice to see how you have gone and merged your passions for law, your love for tech, and are doing this practically to solve a problem that is so prevalent in our country. And I think problem first entrepreneurs who solve problems that exist in the society are really bound to be one of the most successful entrepreneurs ever. So wishing you a lot more success, you and your co-founders, with Legal Tech
Very
Asia
kind.
and
Thank you so
Resolve
much.
360. Coming to another question that stems from this, you said that law and tech are considered to be very alien to each other. Similarly, I think a lot of people in the CA profession as well consider technology as very alien, that it's just the job of an engineer to look after technology. So, how much would you think technology is important for a chartered accountant? And how can one build and develop those skills while pursuing CA?
I think these are very, very, very prevalent questions. Firstly, let me tell you one thing. For those of you who studied ISCA as a subject, technology is not that complicated as ISCA is. Technology actually is, how they say that roti kapda makan. So what I believe, it's roti kapda makan technology. That's the emphasis of tech today. Right from the time we wake up, we all use smartphones, we all use laptops, we all use emails, we all use WhatsApps, we all use internet banking. All of this is nothing but a tech play. Technology is so deep rooted in our day to day lives that we cannot even imagine. If you try to analyze your day till the time you woke up till the time you sleep and see where tech is involved, you will be shocked. And for chartered accountants, it's no different. Technology actually is already used by CA. So if you are using Excel, if you are using Tally, if you're using an ERP, you're using SAP, all of this is nothing but tech. If you're using the income tax website, it's again tech. It's becoming more and more advanced. So if you are telling me that as a chartered accountant, you're totally unrelated to technology, firstly, that's an absolute myth. That is not true at all. Technology is as integrated in the field of chartered accountancy as much as in any other field, and it's only growing. That is the importance of tech as a chartered accountant. Don't think that they are on the opposite ends of a spectrum, because they are merging more than ever now. And one more thing in terms of the question that you asked as to how should a chartered accountant, be updated about tech and all of that. See, you don't need to know how to build technology. You just need to know how you can use technology to make your life easier, to make your organization's life easier, and to make your client's life easier. And that's all you need to know. And let me tell you one thing, don't let education come in the way of your knowledge. And I definitely believe in this statement, because your source of learning cannot ever only be the course you are pursuing. It's you who have to take the effort to learn and grow beyond, because that's when you will become invaluable to your organization, to your client, to everybody around you. And today it's easier than ever. When I was pursuing chartered accountancy, we did not have so much access to other courses, to other universities and what they are offering. But today, if you look at platforms like Unacademy, like edX, and there are so many more, you go on them, you can access courses even by Harvard for free. So these are things that you really need to explore. You're getting the best universities courses at your fingertips. And if you don't explore this opportunity for yourself, then it's a shortcoming at your end, and not on the external factors, not on the CA course. Whilst I think the CA course is beautifully designed, but the world is evolving every second. So it is important for us to take that initiative to look at what new technology is coming, to look at how it can be explored, to look at how you can integrate it. And don't think that in your organization or even in articleship your role is defined to just vouching and verification or tax filing. It is much more than that. And if you can give suggestions to your organization on how things can be more smoothened, you're definitely going to become indispensable to the organization, but the onus is on you to take that extra effort.
Thank you for putting this forward very clearly and bluntly, that uh, the course that you pursue should not be a limitation of that knowledge. I think that's a wonderful sentence, because I often, and this was even me earlier, that I'm a CA, how can I learn tech? I used to be cribbing about this until the pandemic came, and until I realized that one really has access to a lot more resources than one thinks. And based
Absolutely.
on that, I began learning about tech a lot more. And sometimes I still regret that I should have learned about it even more, because that's the most important thing that I use in my job today. So, to all the young audience out there, start building your tech skills right from the day you enroll for chartered accountancy, or even before that, whenever you get free time and you want to pursue something new, go and build your tech skills. To people you
Yeah,
are qualified, people you are telling you that.
yeah, don't regret it. You can always start now. I started much later than all the people that would be watching this, but I'm still building a tech based startup. So it's okay. You really don't need to know how it works. You just need to know what you can use it for, and
Yes.
that's more than enough. And on that note, I will tell you that if you see the engineering course, as chartered accountant, I also always thought that, oh, it's the engineer's job to learn
Mhm.
tech. In the engineering course, they are still learning about those big thick TVs that were being that we used to use before, and now we all use those very thin smart TVs. But in the course, they're still learning that. So everything else that they've gone ahead and built is something that they've built based on self study. So don't think that engineers have any advantage. It's not that. You have access to everything now from your phone. And if you have time, if you have even half an hour to watch Netflix or Prime or Hotstar, you have half an hour to build tech. So
Exactly.
remember that.
The future is of cross-disciplinary careers. Everything
Absolutely.
merged with tech. Thank you, Namita, for putting that across to our audience. My next question stems from your entrepreneurial background. Tell me some of the challenges that you faced as an entrepreneur. I'm sure there are many, and there are many good takeaways for our audience from this.
So, I often say that I eat challenges for breakfast, challenges for lunch, and challenges for dinner. And I think any entrepreneur will agree to this, because you just don't know what the day holds. You may think that today I'm going to do XYZ when I reach office, and you end up, struggling to even look at ABC, and then you start X at the end of the day. So, an entrepreneur's life is about challenges, but it's also about solving those challenges. And in the legal tech space, we have faced many, many, many. It will take like probably months to talk about all the challenges, but just some of the broad ones. One is the awareness, about, as you said, people often look at this as one chapter or something, after cribbing they just see it or whatever. So the entire awareness in our country about alternative means or alternative mechanisms of resolving disputes is very, very low. In fact, India is the world's most litigious country, world's most litigious country, and we're trying to ask people to not go to court to resolve their disputes in the country like this. So yes, and in fact, I still remember when we were doing something on mediation, and the person next to me said, oh, why are they not talking about breathing and etc. And I was a little confused as to what is he saying. Then I realized that he thought it's a meditation course
Oh my
and
God.
not a mediation course, and that's the level of awareness. And if you search for mediation on Google, down there'll be an alert called, did you mean meditation?
Hmm.
That's the level of awareness, but that much work needs to be done. But of course, on a daily basis, we are trying to ensure that more and more people know about ODR, more and more people use it, and the burden on the courts is also relatively less going forward. So that's one of the major challenges. The other one is merging technology and law, because those are, really as different as they could get. And people who work on tech don't really understand law, and people who understand law may not really know how tech works. So marrying the two is very challenging. But of course, that's where using some creative ideas and innovation definitely helps as well, as to how we can look at both from the same lens rather than looking at them differently. So these are just some of the challenges that we've had. And then others are, just what everybody faces. How do you grow your business? How do you find time to do everything? What is the next right step? How do you find the right mentor? How do you find funds? How do you ensure your customers come back, etc., etc.? Those are the usual ones, but these are two more very specific ones that we face.
It's nice to hear about so many challenges, so that the audience out there knows that they are not the only one facing challenges. Challenges come to everybody, but then
Yeah.
a good entrepreneur is the one who solves them without any fear and then ultimately overcomes them. Great to hear about
Challenges
that.
will be even, someone like a Flipkart also today would be facing their own sets of challenges. And someone who's
Totally.
still starting out from their college campus has their own sets of challenges. So you're never going to have a challenge free life. And if you do, then you're definitely doing something wrong. You're not doing something to your potential if you don't have any challenges.
Thanks for putting that across, because I think that gives our audience a lot of solace that they are not alone in this. Okay.
Yeah, when I was pursuing CA, I thought my biggest challenge was how do I clear the exams. And now when I look back, I think, oh my God, that was not even the beginning of challenges that lie ahead.
Totally.
So,
Totally.
yeah,
But one step at a time, of course.
yes, absolutely.
So now coming to the next question that's again related to this.
Sure.
Tell me, how does a CA have advantages as an entrepreneur?
So, firstly, I want to burst this myth that chartered accountants are not very good entrepreneurs. And I think that is very, very wrong, because the way chartered accountants understand money, I think that is their biggest advantage in building something. Because you're the one who understands accounts, you're the one who understands how cash flows work, and you're the one who understands money, you're the one who understands taxation, you're the one who understands a little bit about law as well. And I think that is the biggest advantage as a chartered accountant, because you don't end up building something where you don't know where the money is going to come from, or where you have to burn money actually to build your business. So the biggest advantage I feel that chartered accountants have is the discipline also, which the entire course and articleship brings in you. So, we start working right when we are 19, where still other curriculum, still is looking at college based learning. We are not only learning massive amounts of theory, but we are also working in MNCs, working in large CA firms. We are working with so many different, clients of these chartered accountancy organizations, and you get that exposure when you're just 19 or just 20. So work ethics come in you at a much earlier age. Whilst other courses, students are still looking at colleges and chilling and all of those things. Here you are building those qualities, you're building that mentality and attitude that actually is essential for any entrepreneur. You're learning what it is to work, you're learning what it is, even something as small as we buy our first formal outfit when we are 19, vis-a-vis somebody else who does it at 22. So that itself, these are changes that actually refine and define you when you go forward. That is what helps you daily to get up, go to work, no matter how hard it is, and continue doing what you're doing, no matter how monotonous it gets. And that is what the entire CA course and the entire articleship training drills inside of you. So you know that you can't give up. You know the CA exam is so tough, but if you can get through that, you can definitely get through entrepreneurship. So other than the curriculum and the content, it's these qualities that I feel that chartered accountants have, which is far stronger in a CA vis-a-vis someone who graduates from another stream, with due credit to those streams as well. But this is something which I feel, builds your character, and this is something that helps you go on and on and on and on until you reach your goals.
That's really very true, and it actually made me remember my entire article journey because it just got over very recently. And I think that head start that we have at anything, be it at looking at the corporate world from very close quarters very early on, or just the sense of discipline, as you said, that it imbibes in us, um, we are definitely at an advantage and two steps ahead of people who don't get that practical exposure when it comes to the world of entrepreneurship. So yes, I think the only inhibition people have is like about the communication skills and the marketing skills that an entrepreneur requires, that the CA curriculum apparently doesn't teach us. But then, as you said earlier, your knowledge should not be limited to your course. So if there's any barrier in a CS mind to becoming an entrepreneur, I think it's only in the mind and nowhere else. The skills and everything else are always there with you. So yes, you are a live example for our audience of how a CA can become a
You're very
successful
kind.
entrepreneur. Okay, so I'll move on to my next question. And again, this revolves around entrepreneurship. You are a member of the Women's Entrepreneurship Platform of the Niti Ayog. That's a really that's a position of great responsibility and a lot of honor. Can you tell me something about your experiences here?
Sure. So, firstly, I'm going to talk about some other myths that women and entrepreneurship. Because if you see the global stats, also, there are less than 11% founders who are women. Rest all are men. And it is often said that, women and entrepreneurship probably don't go together. That cannot be further from the truth. And believe me when I tell you, this is the best time for a woman to be an entrepreneur in our country, because the support that the government itself is giving women to turn towards entrepreneurship is phenomenal. And I have been involved in a lot of movements regarding women entrepreneurship, organized by the government, organized by some international organizations as well. The mentorship, the support that they give you, they even have specific grants for women led organizations and women founded organizations. All of this is available at your disposal should you choose to take that step. So, all these that, oh, as a girl, how will I do entrepreneurship? How will I manage everything is just in your head. Take the first step and the world is ready for you. It's something like that. And the Women Entrepreneurship Platform is an initiative by the Niti Ayog to promote women entrepreneurs, to encourage them, to mentor them, to guide them. And I have been part of that platform, I think, since over 2 years now. And they have a lot of these courses. They have a lot of, so I was part of few of their courses. One of them actually had a few Harvard professors coming and teaching us entrepreneurship on what's taught there, and it's absolutely free of cost. And there are also these grants. I have also got a grant from the government as well for building what we are doing. And the criteria is that you have to be a woman uh, founder or co-founder for that. So that's the opportunity that is available. They are doing some amazing work to take entrepreneurship to women across the length and breadth of the country. And if you are a woman who's looking at entrepreneurship, it's the best time ever to do that. Just Google women led support by the government for entrepreneurship or something like that, and the amount of options and opportunities you will get, you will be amazed at it. So yes, it's a wonderful thing that the government is doing. A lot of larger private organizations also are extending support to women entrepreneurs. Many of them have actually committed to purchase some percentage of their requirements only from women-based companies as well. So a lot of these options and opportunities are available now.
It's really good to hear as the world is evolving and moving to a lot of equality among people, regardless of their genders. So, really nice to see you being a part of such social change, and wish you all the very best for these ventures as well.
Thank you.
Now, as you said, like your main focus here in Niti Ayog was as a mentor to women entrepreneurs, and you also have been part of various other organizations mentoring people. Can you tell me what is the importance of of a mentor in your life, and how do you choose one?
Sure. So just a small clarification. I was part of the programs that Niti Ayog has as a mentee first.
Okay. Okay.
And then I started getting involved with them to look at some content around women entrepreneurship and sharing my journey and giving lectures and stuff like that. So that is how the journey was. I started as a mentee
Right.
with them when I started
Mhm.
my organization. So just a small clarification there. And the role of a mentor, coming to that, I think a mentor, if you find the right one, it's game changing. If you find the wrong one, you really need to do something to change that so that your game doesn't change. Like, but I do believe that the role of a mentor is fundamental in accelerating your growth. It's not that you cannot grow without a mentor, but when you have somebody like a soundboard who you believe in, who you trust in, and who really, just wants you to succeed because they want you to succeed and not because of any other interest, you really struck gold. And right now, there are lots of these mentorships available as well. They are by the government, they are by private organizations, and they are by individuals as well, who are looking at mentoring startups, who are looking at mentoring potential founders as well. And having that kind of guidance, to help you navigate through the technicalities, through other jargons, through some difficult situations that you will face, is definitely a value add. Like, you should definitely look for a good mentor. We've been blessed with a few, and it's really, really accelerated the work that we are doing, and it's helped us reaching our goals much faster.
So, yes, having a mentor is a good thing, and one shouldn't consider it as you're troubling somebody or you're burdening somebody. There are many people out there who are willing and happy to help people about the paths they've already worked on.
Yes,
And
very
that's what
true.
we do at Vision CA as well. So, guys, please make maximum use of our mentorship too. It's completely free of cost as well.
Yeah, I
Amazing.
wish I knew Vision CA existed when I was pursuing chartered accountancy. I'm sure it would have definitely helped. But all of you watching, please, please explore Vision CA and look at getting a mentor for your journey. It really makes life easy.
Yes,
It
it makes a
especially
world
helps
of
in
difference.
your lowest points. Yes, for sure.
Yes, yes. Thanks a lot. So now, let me come to your life outside academics, outside work, outside entrepreneurship. You are a voracious reader by your own admission, an occasional guitarist, and a person who loves sketching. You are also trained in Ikebana, that's the Japanese art of flower arrangement. Tell me, how did you develop an interest in so many different art forms, and why is it necessary for a person to have such a hobby?
Yes. So first, I'm going to tell you that, just because somebody would probably specialize in numbers or loves numbers, that they can't love art. That is not true at all. You can love numbers, you can love law, and you can love art as much together. You can love a lot of things at the same time, although they may be considered opposites, but that's not true at all. In fact, I always feel that it is very important to have three kinds of things in our lives. One that makes us money, one that keeps us creative, and one that keeps us fit. So it is important to have a merger of all of these three. Of course, the work that we do takes up a priority in our lives majority of the time, but maybe once a week it's not a bad idea to remove that 1 hour to do something which takes help makes you take a break from your thought process of your work and makes you immerse in something else, so that you can bounce back with better ideas, with fresher ideas, and with a more relaxed mind. And for a lot of people, that can be a lot of other things. For me, that is art. For me, that is sketching. For me, that is music also, in a way. And it's something that I've loved since childhood. And then because of chartered accountancy, I kind of, lost touch with that entire part of me. And because of the lockdown, I ended up having some extra time at home and I went back to picking up the paper and started sketching. And it's helped boost my creativity to a level that I cannot actually put in words. And a lot of our work also involves around design, around ensuring that people can understand what we are doing, around ensuring the design flow is proper. And I feel that my creativity in art has helped me look at that aspect of my work very, very well. So it is very important to do something that creatively attracts you, whether that's just even listening to music or anything else, because you need your mind to take a pause from what you're otherwise thinking. You need it to go in a different direction. You need it to explore. And the best way to make your mind explore is to immerse yourself in something that is creatively inclined. And I cannot emphasize enough on how important it is to actually do that. So please find at least 1 hour a week. You know the number of hours a week has you deserve that 1 hour a week for your hobby, whatever that may be. For some people it's sports, for some people it's something else. Please make sure that you don't take that away from yourself, because one day you'll wake up and you'll be 40, 50, and you will wonder that other than work, what did you do in your life? And you really want to ensure that you have that hobby to stick by. And especially in your low points, and when you have challenges to face, etc., this is what helps. This is what keeps you sane. It's what keeps me sane. So please go ahead and do that. And a lot of these, if you see a lot of these entrepreneurs, a lot of these businessmen, CEOs, all of them have at least one such hobby. Whether it's painting, whether it's sketching, many of them, you will not believe, one of India's largest top firms, the head of that actually has his sketches and paintings across the whole office. So that's, even they find the time. So I'm sure we all can find that time. So it is very, very important to do that. And yes, so reading, of course, coming to that, I cannot emphasize enough on how important it is. And by reading, I don't mean only those CA books. I mean reading about whatever you like. But I specifically love reading about entrepreneurs, about businessmen, about their journeys, how they build their companies, because it broadens your perspective. And how, it makes you see, right now, if I'm here in my life and I read about the journey of someone who's here, this is going to help me bridge the gap. This is going to help me understand as to what did they think, how did they build what they built. Like, some of these books, if you read the Jeff Bezos journey, or you read about the Disney CEO's journey, there are so many such books. You will be aghast and amazed at the challenges they faced and how they overcame it. It's a source of inspiration, it's a source of learning, and it's a source of actually already building yourself to where you want to reach. So I absolutely love reading, and I do encourage every person to read. I know it's a little hard and it may be boring, but it's life changing. And if you see, if you study some of the world's most successful people, the one thing that they all have in common is that they read. So reading is a must. Whatever you enjoy reading, start with that, but then move towards reading on a regular basis.
Yeah, that's a really some very apt advice that you shared. One of my mentors had told me this, that if you read a book, you get mentorship from the author, somebody whom
Very
you may
true.
not have access to otherwise in the world. Like I can't have access to Elon Musk, but by reading
Correct.
his autobiography, I know what mistakes he made, and I can imbibe those learnings in my own life. So yeah, reading is
Sure.
really very important, and it's a habit that builds up slowly. You can't just wake up one day and say, I'll read 200 pages today. It's not like that. It's a habit that builds up slowly, and I think now's the best time to do it, when we all are working
Absolutely.
from home.
The best thing to do is have a book next to you. So even if you have 5 minutes, you'll end up reading it. Like, for example, this is the book that I'm reading now. It's called On the Move. It's about the entire entrepreneurial journey of Hari Khemka, one of the very renowned entrepreneurs of India. So if you have a book, just start with 5 pages a day and move from there.
And I think it's also the foundation of good vocabulary, good articulation,
Absolutely.
skills that are evergreen and perennial, and that one will always require whichever field they're in, whether it's chartered accountancy, whether it's entrepreneurship, or whether it's anything else. So yes,
True,
thank you
very
for sharing such good habits with us. Really appreciate of it, and I hope our audience takes away a lot of inspiration to pursue their hobbies alongside chartered accountancy.
but
Amazing.
please don't give up on those.
Yes. It will be a regret that you can't change, and as we are telling you now as mentors, please make that effort to bring out that 1 hour, as Namita said, daily, because in the end, I think everybody is going to have degrees. The differentiation is going to be from the learnings from these hobbies that you pursue when you go out into the real world. Okay, so I think we have covered a lot of your journey in a lot of detail, and thank you for sharing so many elaborate details with us. My last question to you is that a large part of our audience are CA finance students or young chartered accountants like me. And if you were in that place, what would be the one advice that you would give yourself? You have given us a lot of advice on the way, but that one advice that you would give somebody uh, as young as 20 or 22.
I think very simply put it, if I have to talk one thing, I'd say just dream your dreams and live those dreams then. Don't be scared to dream. I think one of the things that I would also want to tell myself back then is learn to dream big and be okay with having big dreams, because often our small term or short term vision sometimes tends to take over. But it's very very important to dream big, to have a big goal in life, because it's like only if you aim for the moon you'll reach amongst the stars. So don't be scared of dreaming big, of knowing what you really want to achieve, and don't think that you are less than anybody else because of any reason. Read about entrepreneurs, read about founders, and see their journeys. You'll be amazed at the advantages you already have by just deciding to pursue chartered accountancy. And just ensure that you don't give up on them no matter how hard it gets, because every single person faces challenges. Just for example, Oyo Room's founder Ritesh Agarwal actually slept homeless for a while before he built a company that today is valued at billions. Read about anybody. Don't think that they have a better advantage than you. Just decide that this is what you want to do in your life and pursue. Go ahead, go after it, day after day after day after day. It doesn't matter the challenges, doesn't matter the failures. What matters is you move one step ahead every day towards your goal. So I think that's what I'd like to tell everybody.
That's a very pervasive advice. That's not applicable only to your studies or your academics, but for anything that you want to pursue on in life. Thanks a lot, Namita. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I'm sure our audience has some amazing takeaways from today. Thank you very
Sure.
much.
I'm so happy that you gave me this opportunity to take some time and reflect back on everything that's happened. And I do hope that I can add value to everyone who's listening. And in case you do have any other questions or anything that you'd want me to answer, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll share my details with you, Priya, and you can, take it from there. And all the very best to all of you. And I'm sure all of you are meant for great things and you'll achieve it all. Thank you.
Thanks, thanks once again.